Sia lodato Gesù Cristo e avanti con Maria. Carissimi, vengo a darvi appuntamento dopo questa pausa estiva indimenticabile nella quale ci hanno acquisito Piccola Nazareth, ma noi siamo sopravvissuti perché ci accompagna la Madonna per un appuntamento imperdibile. Domenica 6 ottobre a Milano alle ore 14:30 ci ritroviamo, per quanti lo vorrete, per un momento di preghiera. L'ultimo nostro raduno è stato a giugno a Firenze, una lunga estate che adesso volge al termine. Vi aspettiamo con la corona del rosario in mano, noi il popolo dei rosarianti, a Milano domenica 6 ottobre, prima domenica del mese dedicato alla Madonna del Rosario. Reciteremo insieme il Rosario, accoglieremo la statua della Madonna, benediremo tutti i bambini e faremo la consacrazione alla Madonna e la recita della supplica alla Madonna del Rosario di Pompei. Domenica 6 ottobre, Milano, avanti con Maria e a presto.
May Jesus be praised and honored with Mary. Good and holy day to all of you, dear children, listening to radio, Domina Nostra, in the sacred hearts of Jesus and Mary and in the most chaste heart of Saint Joseph. Welcome back to our morning segment, Saints and Coffee. Today is Tuesday, the 24th of September. The Church celebrates the feast of Our Lady of Mercy, the Madonna, who enlisted with pages of holy priests to free Christian slaves from the hands of Muslims. It's truly a beautiful page from the 13th century, because the Madonna inspired these holy founders, St. Peter Nolasco and the others, to personally travel to Africa, often offering themselves as hostages so that the Christian prisoners could be freed. This page, naturally, like all the other more or less dramatic pages of history, history also has this characteristic of becoming a memory, yet the message remains relevant. The Mercedarian fathers, who belong to the family of Our Lady of Mercy, for instance, many of them are involved in prison ministry. They take care of prisoners and have missions spread across the world in poor countries. Those referred to as the Third World, but Our Lady of Mercy reminds us that we have been freed from the slavery of sin and therefore must do everything to avoid falling back into sin, to always remain in a state of grace, asking God for forgiveness for all the character outbursts on which, it seems, we must all work more or less. Our Lady, however, tells us not to be discouraged. Be confident and courageous and always move forward. Never lose heart, dear children. When we experience our weakness or beyond our fragility, it's not really starting over from scratch. The devil makes us believe this, that the devil often plays the discouragement card to make us think there's no chance, I can't do it, it's not a path for me. Every time we rise again, and the journey continue, because the Lord is on our side. And with us, there is also the Holy Virgin Mary. Few days left now until the gathering, the prayer meeting. It's not a Milan gathering. On the 6th of October, Sunday the 6th of October, in the morning from 10:30 to 12, there will be confessions, and then in the afternoon at 2:30, the prayer meeting begins. There will be the reception of the statue of the Madonna. Here she is, the Madonna, the pilgrim Madonna of Fatima, who has always accompanied me for years now. In my itineraries and when I'm here, she's always here, as you can see beside me, and then there will be the consecration, the recitation of the Holy Rosary, the supplication. This is also another important, unique moment, the supplication to the Madonna and the Rosary of Pompeii, because it's the first Sunday of October at noon. But given the extraordinary situation we are experiencing in the church, we can undoubtedly postpone it to the afternoon. And then the blessing of the children from 0 to 12 years old. Here, they will be given a little gift, because 12 years old is also seen in ancient culture as the age of transition, from childhood, from being children to becoming adolescents. We'll give a keepsake. Come, Bicani, bring your kids for the Madonna's blessing. Finally, there will be the Holy Mass, celebrated by Father Johannes, whom we all greet warmly and thank for his testimony, because arrived too from the dark mercifulness of these unfortunate bishops who seem to have melted in conscience. He reacted by saying that he is here, that he stays with us, and that we move forward together. Don Enrico will then deliver the homily. After the Mass, we will expose the Blessed Sacrament, a short Eucharistic procession, and then what do? We pray. At the end, we pray. Prayer meetings are prayer meetings. They are not rallies, not electoral gatherings, not human initiatives. It's a prayer meeting. And then it's very beautiful that each time people leave these meetings with great inner motivation, you can really see the joy on people's faces. Everyone comes out smiling, and if someone who isn't one of us were to see it, they'd wonder what on earth happened in there to see people leaving so full of joy, light, and happiness. So come to Milan. We're waiting for you in that setting. As I have already mentioned, I present to you my 2 upcoming books, which I worked on this summer, The False Church and Its Fate. It's the new edition, though not updated, but I present it just as I wrote it in December 2017, which we are discussing. Indeed, this evening is War Tuesday. I remind you that every Tuesday, this is the cover with Christ the Judge, and this is the post for tonight. The current situation with Mary or with Satan. Here, this is the title of tonight's catechesis. Share at 9 o'clock on the Radio Domina Nostra YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, never forget it. Here we are discussing my book, which will be available in Milan, together with the other one, which I care about more, which is indeed The Eagle and the Sun, a commentary on the Gospel of John, first volume, the first 5 chapters, and not all of the 5th chapter, but a part.
A vostra disposizione, e poi li commenteremo ai microfoni di Radio Domina Nostra. L'avrete disponibile a partire da domenica l'altra e poi potete chiederli e prenotarli già in segreteria. Questo è l'incontro di Milano. Poi vi ricordo, ho fatto un appello ieri, nei giorni scorsi, continuerò a farlo, siamo un po' giù, aiutateci se potete economicamente per portare avanti quest'opera. Lì compare l'Iban, c'è anche il conto corrente postale, come anche altri che chiamano nelle
in the phone calls that we believe are available, and many people, this pleases me, when they call, they say, let's help Don Minutella, let's support the project, also because the enemies are once again focusing on the money issue. They haven't wasted time. The friends of the renewal in the Spirit, who invoke the Holy Spirit and then attack Don Minutella. God willing, they are right. That is, Don Minutella is making money, because if it were possible, I say this to the artificial voice of the renewal in the Spirit that has once again defamed and slandered me. If it were possible that Don Minutella isn't making money, fine, and they say it and repeat it, this is stubbornness and evil, they lose their soul. I ask the Lord to forgive them, but they lose their soul. Why insist on the idea that I'm making money, which, by the way, I'd like to ask these idiots, because idiots they are, but me, with money, given the life I lead, because my life is, thank God, a pastoral one. I mean, it's not like I have a life where on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday I dedicate myself to the microphones of Radio Domina Nostra, pastoral activity, and then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I disappear. Certainly one might say, this person, there are some doubts. I'm here, and when I travel, it's not to live my life, I travel to attend prayer meetings around Italy and the world. I have some money. What should I do with it? But then if there's the project, if I take the money, who will fund this project? Got it? All right, anyway, I repeat, I ask the Lord to forgive them. But it's no coincidence that in recent days I've mentioned supporting us financially, because even if they immediately attack Pope Francis again, their beloved Pope Francis, it naturally motivates them. They are children of the devil. You have Satan as your father. You who speak ill of me have Satan as your father, and you will see that I am not wrong. You will have proof over time that Don Minutella is sent by the Madonna. Don Minutella is on a mission to save Roman Catholicism like no one else is doing, together with the help of God and fellow priests, and therefore those who act to slander, in offend, defame, sow suspicion, or etc., are doing the devil's work, which does not want the mission to progress. close this parenthesis. So I remind you to help us if you can, and I remind you again this evening at 9 o'clock the catechesis. We repost the announcement because it is an important episode from my book, The False Church and Its Destiny, written in 2017, which can easily be read today as if it were written last month. The title is The Current Situation with Mary or with Satan. There are no middle ways. I believe it's the 3rd or 4th chapter we are dedicating ourselves to, which we have reached. This is a bit of the whole. For the meeting in Milan, I remind you, because it's always important to emphasize that the meeting is free, there's no charge to enter, and no reservation is needed. There are coaches organized from Abruzzo with the following stops: Manopello departing from Pescara Station, Mosiano, Civitanova Marche, Loreto, Porto Recanati, and Ancona Nord. And then there's the one from Emilia-Romagna, starting from Bologna Borgo Panigale, with stops at Bologna San Lazzaro, Modena Nord, Reggio Emilia, Parma, Fidenza, Fiorenzuola. That's the one concerning Emilia-Romagna. And there's also a coach from Trentino that goes through Trento Sud, Rovereto Sud, Verona Nord. You can call the telephone number of Radio Domina Nostra to find out the phone numbers if you don't know them. All right, let's move on to today's episode. Yesterday evening, I thank you for listening to the reflection on Padre Pio's love for the Rosary. It's always something I prefer in the discussion. What do you want? We are dealing with the Vatican wolves and the shepherds. Speak up. All right, so the title was there. You can find it if you haven't listened to it on the playlist of Radio Domina Nostra. Here it is, Padre Pio's attachment to the Holy Rosary. Let's move on to today's episode, which is very intense. The title of today's segment, I don't know what the weather is like in your parts around Italy. Here it's a constant battle between autumn and summer. Yesterday was full autumn or almost. Today it seems like summer wants to win again. After all, we are in Sicily. The title of today's episode is quite intriguing. Mafiosi Mariani against the Pope and Medjugorje. Attention, let me clarify immediately. So no lawsuit is triggered. That mafia groups is in quotation marks. You see, it's in quotation marks, mafia groups, meaning it's quoted, so I'm reporting. It's not my statement, as we will see now. Let's take stock of the situation with this explanatory note. This note issued by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith from Prefect Fernandez, the one of fiducia supplicans, so to speak, right? What he wrote, he had the courage to write the document. Only someone possessed by Satan can do this inside the Vatican. Only someone who worships the devil can produce a document like that. I remind you that Benedict XVI said that when gay marriages would be approved in the church, it was the time of the Antichrist. It happens worldwide. Have you ever heard me contest this in sovereign, national, and supranational legislations? Not all concerned. Times are tough. It's right this way. We can only bear witness, but not point fingers or poke our beloved gay brothers in the eyes as they claim their rights and obtain them from national and supranational bodies. Are we? We don't really talk about this. Another thing is on our behalf, that is in the sense of the church, in the sense of theology, and especially in the sense of a theology that, if it is sound, lives by the foundational will of Christ our Lord through the norma normans e non normata, which is the Word of God. Well, only someone who worships Satan can write and produce a document when it's in their name of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith that authorizes the blessing of gay couples, reaching, as always happens in matters concerning Lucifer, the grotesque in 10 to 15 seconds. It's about a document, the one of, because you mustn't forget, because they play a lot on quick information processes with that and keep paving over the church. All right, as I was saying, because you see, even those who build alliance careers and then stay silent, where is Burke? What is Burke doing? What is Cardinal Burke doing? Well, just to name one, I remember that Burke, in case you forgot, is the one who asked me to go and retreat to a monastery asking for forgiveness from Pope Francis. Yet he writes the dubia. All right, as I was saying, a responsible and aware Catholicism in front of someone who claims to be the prefect of faith and publishes without embarrassment. A document like the one from December 2023 titled Fiducia Supplicans, where they authorize with all the typical distinctions of hypocritical Vatican wolves that it's not the liturgy, not a liturgical action, not a marriage, etc., etc. None of it is true, because this is what they wanted and this is what they have achieved in several countries. They don't say it, Italians don't know it, but in several countries, excluding Africa. I believe even in Germany now, priests without any punishment from the bishops, because this is exactly what they want, because the episcopal leadership, because the establishment with a few exceptions is Masonic, now in the Anglo-Saxon countries with a liberal background, the blessing of gay couples is simply the marriage of gay couples, and it is something abhorrent over time. From the point of view, I repeat, of BPP, of the Catholic faith, because then if they marry at the town hall, who has ever made a fuss against them? Their business. We can pray bad because we'll never agree, but let's not raise barriers. Let's not raise pitchforks to say, let's go to war against the gay universe, which we actually respect. And that's why we don't understand why there isn't a raising of awareness. So this individual, named Tucho Fernandez, is the one who boldly and audaciously produced a document never before seen in Roman Catholicism, Fiducia Supplicans. The same one who produces the note on Medjugorje, coincidentally on the eve of the synod. Are they trying, or have they tried to regain popular support, given that there isn't any? Because St. Peter's Square is vacant, because there's already talk about the post-Bergoglio era. Perhaps one thing is certain, that this document, this note, has further divided even the steadfast Medjugorje world, Gospel world, Radio Maria world, of Father Livio, to name one of these people like Paolo Brosio, etc., who certainly they praise the document and say it's an extraordinary document. Now, if you follow me closely, I'll show you two different ways of interpreting the document. One is by Father Livio Fanzaga, director of Radio Maria, and the other is by someone I don't know. Among those available, I chose this one, even though it's one of the less known, called The Hill of the Rosary, evidently linked to Medjugorje, which instead expresses all its concern regarding the note. On that passage, I believe number 39, though I might be mistaken, of the note where Fernandez openly states what I have suspected for years, that from this moment on, but it's not just from this moment, it's only official from now, the messages will be subject to scrutiny and discernment. Even those past ones are not made public from the apostolic visitor, Bishop Bergoglio, stationed in Medjugorje. Let's talk about the messages that are yet to come. Like tomorrow's one is already interesting, but even more interesting is the point about the past messages that haven't been disclosed. What are these past messages that haven't been disclosed? First of all, the 10 secrets. And here there's a substantial difference we need to highlight between because some have made this comparison, but it doesn't hold up. Now I'll show you between the omission of the third secret of Fatima, which is still in the drawer, and the 10 secrets of Medjugorje. Comparisons made, but it doesn't hold. Why I say? For a couple of very simple reasons. The first is that the third secret of Fatima was managed by legitimately elected pontiffs, munus of the office from Paul VI to Benedict XVI, while Bergoglio is not the Pope. The second reason, as Vittorio Messori mentioned, is that John Paul II, more than Benedict XVI, was primarily concerned with not revealing the most dramatic content of the third secret for pastoral reasons. So that is, the Pope was worried that people were not ready to understand the unheard things that the third secret says, that we are experiencing the Antichrist in the Vatican, someone who sits on the throne of Peter and works on behalf of the devil. The people, you can imagine. Here the reason is not pastoral, it's preternatural, meaning censoring Mary, blocking the Madonna. In fact, Fernandez, who attended a meeting yesterday, they said a conference dedicated to delving into the new norms of the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith to proceed in discerning alleged supernatural phenomena, clarified once again some parts of the document, the Queen of Peace of Medjugorje. I read from Vatican News, where the expression is found. You can also see the post. So I read from Vatican News where, as I told you, the expression mafia groups is found, which, to be honest, is not from Fernandez, but from a nun who was there because of a Mariological conference. We read the nothing bone for public worship at the Medjugorje sanctuary means there is something supernatural. These words of Fernandez, the document says exactly the opposite. How come now it is the typically Masonic tactic of which Bergoglio is the perfect narrator? But no, but yes, but also. Yes, but no, but yes, and well, also. All right, the document says one thing, but yesterday Fernandez mentioned there's something supernatural, like the mystical rose of Montichiari, even if the supernatural authenticity of the apparitions isn't declared. Sorry, I won't give up my intelligence. Do whatever the heck you want. Pathetic, pitiful. A bunch like those from the Renewal in the Spirit who attack me again, they take me for a clown. If they're right, fine. God forbid I say this to those who wrote that document, because I know they listen to me. They must be scared. God forbid you are making a mistake knowingly, because you don't address the unfortunate content that you are. You only know how to slander and offend. God forbid that Don Minutella is right. You're fried there in Lucifer's pan. All right, what does it mean? There's something supernatural, even if the supernatural authenticity of the apparitions isn't declared. But do you know what Fernandez was capable of saying in the document that I haven't had the chance to fully delve into? Because these days I'm talking to you about it. Why am I a Medjugorje believer? Yes. Why am I saying this? This document is a turning point. At one point, Fernandez was able to say, Papa, that certain messages aren't convincing. Why doesn't Father Livio highlight these contradictions? How can Father Livio ignore them even after reading them? Fernandez highlights in the note this thing here that there are certain messages that leave one puzzled. When, for example, he says that the Madonna would ask on behalf of the seers to the parish, be careful, the request to the parish is to fast. He asked the parish to gather for an overnight prayer vigil for peace. Ask the parish for a novena of prayer so that everyone comes to Mass. Fernandez was able to assert, we are not convinced by this Madonna who replaces parish bodies and the parish priest. So, as Riccardo Cascioli, director of the Daily Compass, writes quite reasonably, they get what they deserve. And everyone thinks of Don Minutella, who had warned them in advance, leave that stuff there, come with us, we are the church. Cascioli, he is not a fool, ignore them, they are Vatican monsters, they are champions of Satan, they are partisans of God, come with us, chase away the dogs, and now they have what they deserve. The new Daily Compass, which is closely linked to Medjugorje, is there, pure and simple. Rightly, Riccardo Cascioli points out. But what does it mean that the parish bodies and the parish priest would therefore be more important than the Madonna? What does Fernandez mean then? Does it mean that the messages are true, but they're not acceptable because it should be the parish priest who decides? What priest is there in Medjugorje for now? And why did Father Maria, who was the parish priest at the reading of the note, collapse on himself crying? Nobody interprets these things. Here, then, in his speech, Fernandez wanted to clarify the fiducia supplicans pleading, that is, we are listening to someone who has published the blessing for gay couples, you decide. He wanted to clarify some points of the document starting from the new regulations in force since the 19th of May. He clarified the meaning of the 6 determinations, etc., etc. And then he added that the words of the note, God is present and acts in our history, give meaning to everything that follows. So it's possible for God to manifest in an extraordinary way through miraculous apparitions. Yes, but then is the apparition at Medjugorje true or not true? God means study. They go to a laboratory, I don't know where it is, underground, they make them, I don't know, they have the ability to cheat. The risk of delaying too long an official pronouncement on alleged apparitions for the populace is that for years people continue without guidance and go to the places of the alleged apparitions without authorization. Not good. The problems are often linked to the fact that the supposed seers are still alive because they do not die. Because they don't die is a remark by Dominatella. And then the danger that people might say these are messages willed by God and communicated through the Madonna. Who then will go to read the church fathers who did not have visions? First of all, the ignorant Fernandez. I mean, it's laughable, yes, but that's Fernandez. He's the grotesque Fernandez. Fernandez was the one who published an explanatory note on the Fiducia Supplicans, with which he states that the blessing should be given in 10 to 15 seconds. What do you expect from the Argentine Fernandez? They have what everyone deserves. Lucky us. Long live the little remnant. We're winning. We're winning. Thanks to our enemies, so we win. So who will go and read about popes of the church who haven't had visions? Apart from the fact that it's ignorant because it's not true, that they haven't had visions, it's not true at all. Several of them, no, not just a few, have had visions, like dreams, led us visions, and so on. And then, at a certain point, there's talk about this thing here. So about the mafia groups, I repeat, it's not my stuff. I'm quoting it. Let's see who it is. Here it is. Because there are... All right, because the excellent, unreachable cardinal, perfect of the congregation for the doctrine of the faith Fernandez, because according to these unfortunate ones, they are puppets of the leader of the group of Mary I won't name. There is a risk of groups and associations using the figure of Mary to spread messages and practices not in line with the evangelical message. Entrust pleading. And Amoris Laetitia and Abu Dhabi. But those are in line with the gospel. Which? That of Satan? Stay away from these priests, friars, nuns, they're contaminated. Don't associate with them. Father, someone said, I live with someone at home. I won't name them or say what our relationship is to avoid being identified, but they said he insists on the parish priest coming to the house. That's going around. What do? The parish priest is a staunch Bergoglian. What did he say, Dad? He said he can't stop it. All right, we're at war, so do this. Have him come, then you leave. As soon as he's gone, you come back and use our holy water. Let's see which one wins, in the sense that they are not the same, because this is the company of Satan. They talk about an intervention on the messages of the Madonna spread around the world that are not evangelical. You know those dishonest ones, do you know what it means that they aren't evangelical? They don't speak well of Pope Francis. This is why they are not evangelicals. Unreal? There's a criticism we continue to make about the proliferation of phenomena, visions, prophecies, but be careful, that use the figure of Mary to attack the Pope, the Church, ecclesiastical authorities, and the magisterium. Phenomena of the mafia, there you go, he says it, mafia phenomena. Why did he use the word mafia? Where does the mafia come from? Where's the mafia from? Who was he thinking of? Is it possible that Minutella is there looming, hovering? Buzz, 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 buzz goes my other bee, so lovely, so cheerful. It's not flies, the bee Maya, mafia groups. Now, does one say mobsters? I don't mean to say, heaven forbid, that they were chasing me, but I like to imagine it. Mafia groups using messages to attack the Pope. Got it? They aim to divide the church. Here, this is somewhat the criterion we are developing for today's theme. Let's return to the topic of the note that divided the world of Medjugorje. Tomorrow there's the message, did Maria write it, or did the bishop? Or did Maria write it, and the bishop crossed it out and added something? Can a bishop decide that if the message comes from the Madonna, it must be erased? It's not from the Madonna. And so why did you authorize the pilgrimages? Because if it comes from the Madonna, no one can touch it. Are you agreed? If the message comes from the Madonna, it cannot be altered. Even if you can have it explained, it must be communicated as it is. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that request. Understand how well they deceive, and then brace yourselves for the worst. Now, unfortunately, enjoy listening negatively, first of all, to Father Livio's commentary on the note from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Brace yourselves for the worst. A couple of minutes, patiently endure what you will hear. The invocation of the Queen of Peace by the Church, by the Pope, which, let's say, tells you what the soul, the spirit that has animated the Church in this phase is. Precisely the spirit of the Pope, the spirit of the Holy Father, who cares about peace in the world. There is no Pope who has worked for peace like Pope Francis. And already at the beginning of this dreadful historical phase, when Russia invaded Ukraine, immediately after, on the 25th of March in 2022, he consecrated both Russia and Ukraine to the Madonna. In the act of consecration, at the moment when the Madonna appeared in Medjugorje on the 25th of the month, she responded to the Pope by saying, I hear your cry. So this profound harmony, the one that inspires the document, a deep harmony between the Pope and the Queen of Peace, projects into the future, dear friends. Therefore, even if now there are many resistances because Catholic obedience has disappeared from the horizon, everyone wants to command, everyone wants to teach. In short, everyone puts themselves on a pedestal, maybe just a little stool, but for them, it's a throne. The throne of their own ego, and so I won't bother counting. Now, everyone who covers now the Catholic field, even in Catholic mass media, that should give the perspective that a Catholic should have on the Pope's document, and they start to downplay what has happened. If, dear friends, one does not have the Madonna in their heart, there's nothing to be done. This is the problem. This is the problem. If one is worldly and lives a worldly Christianity, they will never understand an event like that of Medjugorje. So, friends, now let's read this preface of the document titled The Queen of Peace. Well, apart from someone like me who knows him well, Father Livio, having listened to him every day for years, it seems there's also the age, that it's a voice that is agonizing, almost furrowed. It's a voice that is no longer that of the Father Livio we knew. It's truly a tormented voice. It's as if his soul is imprisoned by himself. It's as if his conscience is going against itself. You can feel it. Someone with experience senses that Father Livio speaks, but the real Father Livio is in agony. This is my personal impression. And then did you hear what he was able to say? The spirit of the Pope is in the document. Don't buy it, or the Pope's spirit will come home. Another pithy statement from dear Father Livio. There is no Pope. As Pope Francis, who worked for peace, and John Paul II, I'm sorry, I would like to tell you, go listen to the catecheses from the 1990s and the early 2000s by Father Livio, and you will be shocked. Again, because he acted as the Pope, the consecration to Russia, which, as you know, was a parody, a staged event, and there is complete harmony in the document between the Pope and the Madonna and the Queen of Peace. Let's see, where is this harmony? Does the bishop, you need to discern the messages? I asked this question as I did yesterday, and will return to it several times in the coming days because it's a topic that is clearly prominent, because I believe in Medjugorje. Now is the time. I can speak more openly because I respect the small remainder in which many are followers of Medjugorje. I waited for the right time. Now the die is cast, so I speak clearly. I have great faith in Medjugorje. I've never doubted for a single moment that the Madonna was there and still is, but more than that, there's Satan. Through the manipulation of the false Bergoglian church of darkness, the gospel is, as they say, embarrassed. Here, this is the truth. It's pointless for Father Livio to say this, because if the messages are alleged, then how is there harmony between the Pope and the Madonna? Until yesterday, Fernandez said, we do not deny the supernatural, but the messages are not supernatural. Some, not all. Which ones? It's not said. They mention them. Why not others? And why is it possible then that some are good and others are not? Which criterion is it based on? Isn't the source the same? Are we possessed by the devil? You send the faithful. Do you understand that something doesn't add up? Some notice. I'm asking the production team to now broadcast the contribution of someone I don't know, but searching here, searching there, I found an interesting reflection of a couple of minutes from this guy. Maybe some of you know him. I'm also giving him a bit of publicity because it's a YouTube channel not very followed, but he says some reasonable things opposite, as you will hear, to the enthusiastic Father Livio, a Father Livio who enthusiastically agonizes. Let's now listen to the next contribution. Welcome to the Hill of the Rosary. A few hours ago, the prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, Cardinal Fernandez, announced to the world, we can now say to the world, the note titled Queen of the Father. In this note, I won't go into details now because clearly many have already discussed it, many have seen it. A sort of a war and for Medjugorje. So, celebration, jubilation, a bit everywhere on social media. I've read everyone is happy because this clearance has arrived. I'm saying it in Italian, in Medjugorje. In reality, it's not quite like that, in my opinion, but we'll get into the details and try to understand. Why not? Meanwhile, because this clearance arrives for worship, and so it's fine, it doesn't change much. Meaning, yes, pilgrimages are now official, a sanctuary can eventually be built, and all these things that more or less don't really change life in Medjugorje. What I find restrictive, and thus a real problem for Medjugorje, is the fact that from now on, all messages, all texts actually, so not just messages, the word used is text, all texts, even those perhaps not disclosed in the past, but also future ones if there will be any. And we know that we are probably on the eve of the 10 secrets, or in any case, the secrets of Medjugorje, and those are written, so they are texts that will need to be disclosed, even with a very precise procedure with specific days set. Now, regarding this practice, regarding these times, today the Church has wanted to set some boundaries. Here is why, in my opinion, there's not much to celebrate, because we'll probably have another Fatima, where the third secret is still there in a drawer. All right, so I repeat, this is a first reflection, sort of off the cuff, not to downplay the celebration, let's say. Sure, but why? Actually, I don't really see all this jubilation, especially considering these secrets, and then the messages. Yeah, you see, this was pointed out to me by a journalist I know, as I mentioned, but the face seems familiar. It's Marco Ferri from Fano TV, a journalist who indeed makes this reasonable intervention. So the world of Medjugorje has split, and it could have split, but we will never officially know, even at the levels that matter. I'm going to explain better. Father Livio at a certain point complains. He says some even of the big isn't the exact word he uses, are not with us. To whom is he referring? Could they be some of the seers? Prepare for the possibility that the seers might split among themselves. Those who will accept the note and carry on as if nothing happened. Let's see tomorrow. Will Maria Pavlovich give the message? Is it from the Madonna, from Maria Pavlovich, or from the Apostolic Visitor Bishop? When it ends with "Thank you for having responded to my call," whose call is it? Madonna? Our Lady? Maria, the alleged seer, whom it's best not to meet, as Fernandez says, or the Apostolic Visitor? Are you so sure that the seers among themselves, the relationship with Father Livio is still... I, for heaven's sake, know the risk I take when I say these things, because Medjugorje is a precious piggy bank. Are you so sure that everything is harmoniously joyful between the visionaries and the parish priest of Medjugorje? Between the seers and the Franciscans of Medjugorje who side with the parish priest, and I add again, but are you so sure that these Franciscan friars from the convent of Medjugorje in the province of Bosnia and Herzegovina, where Medjugorje is located, are all united and cohesive among themselves? The tears of Father Maria, do they mean something or not? I don't rule it out. We might never know openly, or maybe we will. That this document creates already existing cracks, and now they will become visible. Who follows Father Livio? Who is willing to follow Father Livio? Who says there is complete harmony? Are the visionaries like 𝐕Z𝐶? I wonder if 𝐕Z𝐶 and Maria and also the two males, Yakov and Ivan, are willing to endorse this statement. If so, dear kids, it's all over. Because if the seers are willing to endorse what Father Livio said, that is, there is complete harmony between the Madonna and the Pope in this document, it's over. All right? Unless the seers meet their end, but they are secular, it might not happen. So, that they meet the same fate as Sister Lucia. You know, there was a big controversy because Ivan moved to the United States of America, and he repeatedly said one day, you will understand why. They always wondered if it was related to the 10 secrets, if something had to happen in Europe, not in America, etc. Could it be this? When you're in the United States, thousands of kilometers away from Rome, it's not like being in Medjugorje, where Rome is on the other side. I don't know, they're just guesses. The Medjugorje world is split clearly, and I'll give you further confirmation. We'll return to the topic, the new daily compass. It's quite well known that the new compass made a pact, an agreement, when Monsignor Antonio Livio was still alive. I have the book where this agreement is mentioned. The agreement was to accept that Bergoglio was the Pope to avoid causing problems for the Church and themselves. The rest of the new daily compass is Wojtylian, like us, right? He's a Madonnaro, meaning he believes in Medjugorje like us. And then the Catholic morality regarding non-negotiable values like abortion, these values, in this case abortion, euthanasia, divorce, etc. And on Medjugorje, they too have revealed their true selves, because amidst the complete enthusiasm, an unexpected, unforeseen conflict will now arise between Father Livio and Riccardo Cassioli, who have always been in good alliance, judging by the initial statements, it would seem so. Last Saturday, there was an article, even by the director himself, almost to highlight the importance of the issue. Note on Medjugorje, contradictions, and desire for control. The Vatican's �]𝐵𝐼𝐽𝐽𝑆tat. The spiritual experience in Medjugorje changes very little for the pilgrims, because as they went, they will continue to go. They better not go. From now on, the messages will be scrutinized by the Pope's envoy, you see. As I told you, I was the first to say it. I was the first to say it. There's a check on the messages. Here, now you understand. Father, why is it so? Certainly you're so sure. And if then the Madonna. Now, do you understand the reason I've been telling you about for years? Have I stopped believing in the messages because there's now a known oversight by the Holy See? And rightly so, Cassioli wonders, and this. The scrutiny of the Pope's envoy, which Father Livio seems to completely ignore, doesn't create a problem. Is there perhaps concern about the announced secrets? And how do you reconcile the refusal to establish the supernatural nature with the established authenticity of the first 7 apparitions? Read. After the initial moment of satisfaction among the Marian devotees for the note to the Queen of Peace, that's what the note is called, which grants the green light to the spiritual experience in Medjugorje, reviewing the press conference presentation by the prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, and the sections of the note, several contradictions and also some perplexities emerge. More than satisfaction, or in fact almost one should speak of a sigh of relief, because there could have been fears of less positive judgments about the whole phenomenon. At this point, however, one might legitimately wonder what the point was of such a detailed note, complete with a press conference for its presentation, a privilege usually reserved for truly important matters, given that from a practical standpoint, nothing really changes for the pilgrims. Cassioli implies, if I've understood correctly, and I'm not stupid between the lines, that he expected, given the whole hullabaloo of the scenic and scenographic setup of the note, that the authenticity of the apparitions would be confirmed. Otherwise, if it wasn't confirmed, why create this suspense? I don't know if I managed to say it. Why such a rush, considering the Church has never commented on ongoing phenomena? And so, no one could blame her for not saying a definitive word about Medjugorje. You could calmly continue to practice prudence and observe the phenomenon. I completely agree with Cassioli on this. Let the appearances continue. Let people go peacefully. And do not intervene in such a way, even saying that the apostolic visitor is Monsignor Aldo Cavalli. I wouldn't want to be in his place. Besides, I don't believe it's him. Looking him straight in the face, he's one of those regime guys placed to make people believe who knows what. Bergoglio's at Santa Marta. The pilgrimages organized by parish dioceses had already been allowed in 2019 by Pope Francis, and there had never been any bans on the messages. At the end of the day, the only new aspects of this note are the invitation not to meet the alleged seers and the announced monitoring of the messages from now on. That will therefore require from time to time the approval of the apostolic visitor Monsignor Aldo Cavalli. That's what we've said from the start. I mean, in the end, the note, if it did anything at all, it did 2 extremely negative things, what we reiterate. The first, that is, you must not meet the seers, so the seers who are the protagonists are taken out, but doesn't all this seem schizophrenic to you? The second is that the messages will be checked by the apostolic visitor. Here now, Cassioli, precisely this last point, that is the fact that now the messages go through, but they say from now, yet it has been like this for years, from the apostolic visitor has caused concerns among several faithful. Censorship or corrections on unwelcome messages will be triggered. So even you at the management of Nuova Bussola suspect that Domina was right. What is not liked is not made known, so we talk about butterflies, little birds and flowers. Now I want to say something about this. When the Madonna truly said it, and perhaps continues to say it, you can feel it because the invitation to go into nature in September, or in April and May during spring, is always a call to the life of grace, as the Madonna always links it to that. But is something else being hidden now? it's a delicate matter, etc., etc. From this perspective, it's significant that in the long and detailed note, there is no reference to the issue of secrets, a topic that's hard to avoid when discussing the messages as it's known worldwide. Even Father Livio is one of those who never stops talking about it, about the theme of the 10 secrets. In this regard, I would like to clarify something that perhaps seemed unclear yesterday. It might seem to some that I wanted to deny the authenticity of the secrets. I wasn't doing that. I truly believe in them. I mean, they'll know how to manipulate them at this point. Cardinal Fernandez, right at the end of the press conference, pretended to have forgotten the topic. I mean, he pretended. It's already serious for a Catholic editor to say that a cardinal pretends in an official presentation. But this is the moment, the staging. This is the Vatican staging. Pretends to forget the topic of the 10 secrets. When asked at the press conference, Cascioli, with a telling expression on his face, includes them among the future messages that must be reviewed, words of Fernandez by the apostolic visitor. But the issue that leaves many puzzled is the refusal to consider the possible supernatural nature of the phenomenon, because organizing such anticipation only to then speak of alleged messages and not pronounce the mihi obstat concerning pilgrimages and the pastoral action of Santa Coletta is indeed the problem, which is precisely that there is no talk of supernaturalness. No way. All right, in conclusion, the question arises spontaneously. How is it possible to adopt a report that unequivocally states that the Madonna appeared in Medjugorje, referring to Cardinal Ruini's document, which affirmed that the first 7 apparitions are undoubtedly true, and adopt it in the note where it is stated that it is impossible to establish their supernatural nature? An obvious contradiction, says Cascioli. Cascioli doesn't reflect them. Why doesn't he have him write a message? Now aim for Scrosari in a few days when she defends the Pope. So is the claim to separate the fruits from the tree by principle incomprehensible. I remember it was exactly one of the immediate thoughts I had. Do you remember? The first one, perhaps? I said, but how is it possible to say that this tree bears good fruit, yet it's the tree, so no, we don't comment on the tree. The ground, if it is based on thought of faiths like Ratzinger, etc., etc., caution in the face of such events is more than justified. But to give up on principle, well, Cascioli was quite upset, and rightly so. To establish it like Father Livio and all the Gosparians who exalt Pope Francis or pretend to recognize him as Pope, but to give up on principle in establishing its supernatural nature suggests that there is a certain underlying disbelief in the possibility that God might intervene in this way, and that the mihi obstat is then more of a political measure than an evangelical one. No, I'll tell you what I think. In this case, I completely disagree with Cascioli, because he claims that this lack of reference to the supernatural is due to disbelief on the part of Fernandez and the Vatican groups. In reality, it's another reason. They believe more than anyone else because they are of Satan. They know it's the Madonna speaking, they don't deny it. Got it? That's why they want to hinder. Let's wrap up with the final amusing bit, which will almost make you smile. Fernandez, he puts the parish before the Madonna. I will definitely read an article by Tommaso Scandroglio. In saying that the Madonna cannot replace the position of the parish priest, Fernandez said it, the prefect places the Madonna hierarchically below the role of the parish in the economy of salvation. First the parish, then the Madonna. First the parish, then the Madonna. This, in summary, is the thought of the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith, expressed in the note, the Queen of Peace, the one we are discussing, regarding the spiritual expediency linked to Medjugorje. The passage in which Cardinal Prefect Vittorio Manuel Fernandez crafted this theological gem in the laboratories of his dicastery is as follows, without anger or bias. There are other expressions that risk being regarding the messages interpreted in the wrong sense, Is Father Livio a friend of the parish priest of Medjugorje? In the wrong way, like messages to the parish priest. But Father Livio is in touch with the apostolic visitor and Maria. And so, is Maria a friend of the apostolic visitor who changes his messages? Texts her. Only Maria can know it. What'd she do? Obey? In these messages where the Madonna is mentioned, it seems that the Madonna desires control over the details of the spiritual and pastoral journey, requests for days of fasting, indications of specific commitments for different liturgical times, thus giving the impression of wanting to replace the ordinary bodies of participation of the parish pastoral council, the parish priest, etc. And it says number 29 of this lofty note, to be memorized. The messages from the Madonna, it's always him. Look, I'll tell you something, I can't imagine it. Fernandez surpasses Bergoglio, or rather Bergoglio gets along with Fernandez. This one is capable of saying, as I was saying, I can't, but it's written in the Italian dictionary. I won't say it. This one can say miete, miete, with a theological nonchalance that truly makes your blood boil with someone like this. This one says theological miate with elegance. Have you noticed this? With a savoir-faire that leaves you speechless, he tells you absolute nonsense, you know? It tells you, and he's the prefect of faith. The woman cannot be replaced. This is the point. It's not an interpretation. The messages of the Madonna cannot ordinarily replace the role of the parish priest, the pastoral council, and the synodal work of the community regarding decisions, as I don't know what will become of me, because the only one who speaks plainly, papal, it must be said, is yours truly. Isn't it already a ministry of your Aida of high prelature? Since then we finish talking, but then people call and say, "Oh, Father, you are the great prelate. Father, you are the great prelate."
I don't talk about it, I say, but isn't this already a ministry?
Even if it's not me, isn't it already this? Sorry. Reasoning is this: the Madonna cannot replace the parish nor the path indicated by the parish priest. Be careful how the figure of the parish priest emerges. Father Marinko leans forward in Mariubikin and cries and of the pastoral council. So in the note, there's no mention of Father Slavko, who wrote the story of Medjugorje, nor of the 10 secrets. The seers must not be met. Can you tell me what Medjugorje has become with pride? I'll tell you. The parish priest, the apostolic visitor. This is Medjugorje. Don't go there. Get it in your head. This is Medjugorje, the parish priest, the apostolic visitor. The visionaries must stay at home and you should not go to meet them. Those who are witnesses, like Father Maria on the sidelines. These messages do not come from the Madonna. They were conceived, says the dicastery, entirely independently by the visionaries. It's a serious statement. They are saying, go to Medjugorje, but do not trust the seers. Has Father Livio not read these things? Is Maria still friends with Father Livio? Where is the dignity of a Christian woman in Maria, whom I know personally? There are those who follow Bergoglio and lose their Christian and Catholic dignity. Maria stays friends with Father Livio, who accepts the document, saying there's harmony between Pope Francis and the Madonna, stating these messages replacing the parish come from the visionaries, not the Madonna. Did the seers write them? So the seers make them up. If they make them up, they're frauds. Perhaps some messages were given to them by the Madonna, or perhaps not, we won't say. Go to Medjugorje. To what even lower level must we descend? Next phase of the synod? In short, in a kind of harmful projection of the seer's desires. Even if Mary had never appeared in Medjugorje, the erroneous concept expressed by the note, "the parish is more important than the Madonna," still stands. And that's all. The parish in Medjugorje is more important than the Madonna because the Madonna cannot be controlled by the bourgeois, the partisans of Satan. Parish, yes. Go to Medjugorje, the parish. You must not meet the visionaries. The establishment of the parish is a revealed fact. Fernandez says, the Madonna is in a hierarchically lower position compared to the role of the parish in the economy of salvation. The Madonna will be able to sit with the mothers group of the Nazareth parish. The Madonna has always made requests when she has appeared. At Lourdes, she asked to go on a pilgrimage with the priest to the grotto, for example. At Fatima, she requested the construction of a chapel. She asked the priest for permission first. All this realism makes the dicastery frown, as it has a disembodied image of Mary. A real contradiction if we look closely. The role of the parish priests, the parish bodies, the synods, all very specific and technical instruments, appear as the new managers of the Catholic realm, fundamental, indispensable, and even more important than the content of the faith. All right, for the current magisterium, all this organizational minutiae is highly commendable. All right, and it represents the heart of the Catholic faith. The synod is everything. By now we've learned that well, but heaven forbid if Mary does the same and gets into the specifics, those specifics being the only space where we will either be saved or damned. All right? Voice of one crying in the wilderness, I told you, I announced it to you, I am Father Minutella. Father Minutella, that's me. Let Father Livio and all of Medjugorje have fun. What can we do? We said it, they didn't believe us. Now they have a Medjugorje without the Madonna, a Medjugorje without the visionaries, a Medjugorje without the messages, or only those written by the apostolic visitor, because what matters is the parish.